Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to be back. It's been a long time, I know, but we're glad to be back to doing shows for a new season of college football, an expanded playoff season of college football. I'm very excited. How are you doing tonight, Dad?
Doing good. It is good to be back, and it's great to have another college football season here starting week two now in the season coming up this tomorrow actually. So yeah, it's good to be back. Miss doing this. I had a lot of fun and look forward to doing another season. Like you said, it's going to be a whole new ball game for us getting accustomed to how things roll with having the 12 team playoff this year instead of just the four.
Yeah, and already spoiler for those who don't know, it's we're not gonna have to hear Florida State fans cry this year because they're already 0-2. So just had to get that in there. They they
Yeah, I
won.
don't think you could had a worse start to a season after you went undefeated during your regular season and thought you should have made the playoffs than to lose number one to Georgia Tech and then back that up with coming home and losing to Boston College.
Yeah,
Georgia
no,
broke Florida State. Georgia broke Florida State.
I was
Now,
about to say,
in all seriousness, though, I think it wasn't necessarily Georgia. Georgia took out a butt whooping on Florida State in the bowl game last year, but the way they handled that bowl game, it set their program back. You know, the coach could have. I'm not in his position. I have never been a college football head coach or whatever, but you would think that he would lay down the law a little bit more about, look, guys, we're not done with our season. We can't go out and perform to our standard, to take a phrase away from Kirby Smart and the Georgia program. If all of you guys are opting out and not going to take this game seriously, because I can guarantee you Georgia took it seriously. You saw that result on the field. So
yeah,
um, I think that, you know, let started the process of them having cracks in their program. Now, granted, they lost a lot of players. They live and die a lot by the portal and bringing in portal players as opposed to building through more so through, you know, high school recruiting. But I think that really started a downslide for them, the way they handled that game, and they're still paying for that. And to tag on to what you said about them not having to worry about opting out of the playoff or whatever, they might opt out the rest of this season. None of their games are going to matter now anyway going forward. So if they weren't going to play in the bowl game because it didn't matter, are they going to play this weekend? Well, they're off this weekend. Are they going to play next weekend because it ain't going to matter anymore if they win? I mean,
yeah, it's a good point. That just goes back to I think something that we said at the end of last season. Maybe I said it or you said it. I forget who, but it's just about the integrity of the game, right? You finished your commitment, and that's what Kirby preaches, and that's what he got all the players to buy into. I mean, we had some guys that are banged up. I think Malachi Starks, um, s- the All-American safety that we got returning this year. I think he put off a surgery to play in the bowl game, a bowl game that didn't matter a hill of beans either, for Georgia overall playoff and all that. But
well, it
they,
mattered to those guys in that locker room, obviously.
yeah, and they wanted to send out senior class the right way, and they did that, and just absolutely just took Florida State to the woodshed. So,
So enough about Florida State. We're not a Florida State channel. So anyway, move on to that.
yeah.
How did you like seeing the first game against Clemson? What are your thoughts about the way we we played and how that turned out?
Well, I think I've said this a couple of times to maybe to you and some other people just following the game. I think um I think it was a hard fought first half between both teams. I think it was noted either by a media member or somebody close to Clemson's team or Georgia's team. They said that Clemson threw some exotic things at us defensively that they hadn't been doing recently, especially last season, because we studied last season's film going into this game, and I think it maybe confused the offense a little bit for us. But all in all, you know, when it got to halftime and Kirby did his halftime uh, interview with the reporter, and he was like, "Yeah, all we've got to do is just keep doing what we're doing. Um, we're in good shape, basically." That's to paraphrase what he said. At that point, I knew I was like, "Okay, we're gonna come out here and open up this game on
That's
them."
true. We were good because at that point, by halftime, you could already tell that Clemson offense is just basically it's poor. It is inept. It's uncreative. It's a lot of bad adjectives. And pick your adjective, whatever you want to call it. That's
JV,
that's ungood. That it will fit. So we're pretty comfortable in the fact that they weren't gonna, you know, come out of the half and just, stomp on us offensively. Now, their defense, their defense may be one of the best defenses that we play against this whole season,
I agree
at
with
least
that.
in at least in the regular season. I can't speak to, beyond that because we don't know who might be in that or if we're going to be in or whatever. I hope we are in the playoffs. But in the regular season games, that defense may be the best defense that we will face this season. Texas is going to be pretty stout. Of course, Alabama is going to be stout, but they may be the best one that we face. And I think based on that, Simpson's season isn't over. We got to remember they play in the ACC, and we've seen how well the ACC is fared so far this season. Um, you know, it just they've got to be considered, them and Miami, I guess, considered the odds-on favorites right now for that, to win that championship for the ACC. So that was the big takeaways from our Clemson game that I, you know, bought after the game and looking back on it now is that, we we handled that good defense in the second half and we figured it out. We do that a lot of times. We're almost like a boxer. We're feeling the other team out initially in the game. And then once we get something figured out, we just lean on you and just end up a lot of times just overwhelming you with our depth.
Yeah, I mean that those are all really good points. Another thing that I thought of while you were talking was, you know, it's just leaning on you. It just over and over and over again. People were talking about, oh, the run game, this and that wasn't very good. Beck did start well initially to start the game,
Yeah.
and
But
then
we didn't even play ETN
right, we're without, two
because he
running
was
backs
suspended.
in that
And
game.
another one, yeah. No, the other guy, the other Robinson that didn't play, he's out because he's injured now. So
Yeah. And we play a true freshman, and eventually, third and fourth quarter, he's breaking off long runs, looked like lightning in a bottle. So that's exciting. If we can beat down our two best running backs, which people would say outside of ETN, it was a question mark for us
It was
coming
just
in.
an unknown.
Right.
I think it was more of an unknown, yeah, because they hadn't played a lot of college football games. I mean, shoot, Frazier's a freshman, so it was his first game.
Dude was playing high school football last year.
Yeah, you want to line up and try to tackle him?
No,
You think you could catch him?
definitely not.
No, I couldn't catch him.
Matthew says he could, just to put that out there for everybody. Matthew says he could, but Matthew's fastest 100-meter time in track was 10:08. His average was like 11:11:1, and this guy runs at 10:05
So,
every time.
well, he's
So,
been clocked that fast, yeah.
um, but yeah, that was really exciting to see. And obviously going into this week, just to kind of pivot to week two, now, if you're all right with that. Um, obviously we're playing a, school of the deaf and blind this week. It's it's not gonna be it's not gonna be a
It's not going to be the
competition.
most exciting game for us this season.
Yeah.
It
So
should be good for us to um, go out and have another opponent in front of us to bang on, and a good exercise for us to work on things and, you know, get some younger guys some playing time because that will pay dividends down the line.
it definitely will. So it's a depth building week. It's not gonna be flashy, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure we'll have a few big plays, of course, on offense, but uh I don't know, not the most fun watch, but I'm still gonna be tuned into it, even though the let's really talk about this. The worst part about this week is that it's on ESPN Plus. What kind of crap is that?
Well,
Like,
when you play a game against Tennessee Tech, I guess that's what you get stuck with.
but we're the number one team in the country,
Yeah.
and we can't get airtime against Tennessee Tech, but they're gonna put, you know, Cal and Auburn on the TV.
That is two power forward teams playing. So
If you can call Cal a Power Four team, yeah. You know,
aren't they in the ACC too? Isn't that an SEC ACC matchup now?
yeah,
It's weird to say, but aren't they in the ACC?
yeah,
Because there's only two Pac-12 teams left, right?
yeah. Washington State and
Oregon State.
yeah, I
I'd have
think
to
so.
look it up. I'm not even sure. I just know the Pac-12 is no more. You got USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington in the Big Ten.
Hmm.
I think Cal and some other school joined. There's
Stanford.
some teams. Yes, Stanford, and I think SMU joined the ACC this year, right?
Hmm.
Those three teams.
And then Utah, Colorado. Um, who else joined the Big 12? We need to, you know,
Do some
get caught
homework
up.
on it.
I had it all figured out in my head before, of course, we go live. So, if you'd have asked me yesterday, I probably could have spouted off all of
Well,
that. But
as you can see, we're missing a third wheel. Um, Matthew is not with us this evening. He said he could not make it for unknown reasons. So he did chime in on the chat just now, since we were talking about his speed.
I saw that.
And yeah, since that came up, so he's obviously tuned in watching. And he says, I at least will compete against him, unlike you two. So he's throwing a shot at us, calling us slow white boys, I guess.
I mean, that's
You know,
fair
I
today.
guess I guess you could call it competitive, but really almost a second slower in 100-meter races, not really that competitive if we're honest. it's more competitive than I would be ever, but it's really all that competitive of a race if he raced him. I don't know. All right.
And I gotta add something. Me, I do remember a time at my peak where I was beating Matthew consistently. So there was a time where I would have beaten Matthew and probably competed with that with a second difference, like you're saying too. But anyway, just gotta throw that in there. Matthew, I did beat you until, you were a junior in high school. When I was still in high school, I was beating you in speed. So just so we're clear on that. Um, but
There's not
anyway,
really a whole lot to talk about on this game this week, is there? I mean, we just want to get through it, stay healthy. Hopefully, nobody gets hurt, and you know, come out with a W. We're favored by 50.5 points, I think I saw. So, you know, are we going to live up? Are we going to cover? Are we not? I guess that's what you watch this type of game for, to see if you actually cover and who all gets to play and who might be the next man up if the worst happens to some of the starters.
I wouldn't have even said that. Now you put that out there. Everybody say a prayer for all the starters that they stay healthy this week because we need them for
I
this
already said that.
gauntlet.
That was the first thing I said. Hopefully, everybody stays healthy.
Yes. Um, Matthew said 12 years ago. Yeah, fair enough, buddy. I said that, It's been a long time.
Y'all were in high school. Yes, it's been a while.
It's been this year will be 10 years for me. So yeah, long time. But yeah, let's go ahead and pivot to our new Friday night pick'em contest that we're going to be doing all season. I think we're all pretty excited about this. We're going to keep track of it each week, have a total uh, number of wins, keep track of that, and or correct picks. And then at the end of the season, we'll either have bragging rights or we'll come up with some sort of prize for one of us.
We're
So without further ado, let's get into that. Let me get that on the screen for us.
So basically what it is we're going to be doing is we'll pick I don't know, 5 or 6 of the main games going on during that weekend, that Saturday, and we'll each pick it, pick the game winner we think against the spread, and it's going to be laid out on, as you can see on your screen right now, um, what the spread is, and we're picking against the spread. We'll just total it up each week and just have some fun with it. Just something to keep us interested in other games and have a little bit more to talk about.
And just for clarification for myself and anybody else out there. So, like, for example, for the Georgia game, you see our picks up there. Georgia's favored by 50.5. So, in order to get this one right, if you pick Georgia, they got to win by 51.
Right,
And that's a lot of points, as you can
a lot of
see.
points to give up. Giving up half a hundy.
But I'm confident in my dogs. I think that if we can hang 34 and win by 31 against Clemson. Granted, we played our starters well into the end of that game, if not the full length there. So that may hurt me. But yeah, give me UGA and I'll lay the points. It's gonna be
You can
63 to
see,
nothing.
okay, 63 to nothing. That would qualify, but Um, it's not that I don't have faith in my boys, the dogs. I'm going with Tennessee Tech because that's just too many dang points to give some team. I don't care who you are. It's hard to cover 50 points, almost 51 points in a game. Plus, the way Kirby runs these games are more like glorified scrimmages. And I think a lot of young guys are going to get to play. And even on defense, some of those young guys that we may end up giving up, an extra score or something like that that normally we wouldn't. And that makes it even more difficult to cover that kind of number. So I'm just taking the 50 and seeing if I can pull it out. Get lucky. I honestly think UG is more than capable of covering that number if they wanted to. It just depends on how we could approach the game.
My thoughts are just full throttle, all gas, no brakes till about, halftime. See what we can get to.
I'd say do it. I'd like it if we do that.
And since Matthew's not here, I'll obviously his picks are on the screen. He's laying the points with me. So we're in this together. Hopefully Georgia covers.
And then the next one we got Texas traveling up to Michigan, and Texas is favored in this by 7.5.
Lot of points to be favored by on the road.
Especially a tough place to play like Michigan. But I think this isn't the same Michigan team that we saw last year. I I don't think their offense is quite as good as what it, at least through the first game this year, doesn't look to be quite as good as it looked last year. Um, and I think Texas is going to go up there and try to prove a point with the defending national champion.
Yeah. Um, I went back and forth on this one, game days at this one, so it's probably the game of the week in a lot of people's minds. And, just looking at our slate here, it's probably going to be um it could be one of the best games. So um I'll take Michigan at home at night. That's a tough place to go play. 100,000 people. You got those crazy Michigan fans. They woke up last season because they finally, were good again, and finished it off, national
With a couple of
championship.
asterisks. With a couple of asterisks.
Yeah, I mean that's all to be determined still, right? It's probably
Yeah.
gonna it's probably gonna look a little different in the future, but
And you can see on this one, Matthew goes with me. He's taking Texas minus the 7.5 because, as he says in the chat right now, as he's watching, Michigan sucks, but so it's his thoughts on the matter.
there are just so many things that I could say about that, but okay, let's move on
Let's,
to the
let's
next
leave it to
game.
Matthew.
Arkansas at Oklahoma State. Um, now
It's
this is an
Go ahead.
interesting one. You got Arkansas, their head coach on the hot seat. He's a former Georgia offensive line coach. So he's kind of coaching for his job this season. Not kind of, he is. It's very well known. Um, but give me the home team and the points. Uh, I'll lay the points at home with Oklahoma State. I just think they're going to be able to run the ball. Their offensive line's returning all five starters, and they have like a million starts each between them. They've been in school
They've got a
forever.
stud running back too. They
And that's
do
what I
have a
was
stud
getting
running
to.
back.
Very probably top, five in the Heisman when, at the end of the season voting. Their running back, Ollie Gordon's a superstar. So give me him, and he may rush for 300 yards in this game.
No, he ain't going that. He ain't going that. As you can see, me and Matthew both went the other side of this. We both took Arkansas plus the touchdown. You know, look, um, I just think it's a noon Eastern kick for that one in Oklahoma State, so it's going to be 11 a.m. local time, if I'm not mistaken. I think the home team tends to come out maybe a little sleepy headed in that early of a kick. That's not a normal kick time for those teams. Um, and I think Arkansas may sneak up on a few people. They play tough. I mean, most people don't realize this, but if you look back last year, Arkansas lost to Alabama. But do you remember how by how much last year?
It was razor thin.
3 points,
Yeah.
3 point game. So they find ways to play teams tough from time. A lot of the times, a lot of times when you don't expect it. So I'm taking the touchdown. If even if Oklahoma State ends up winning by 3 or 4 points, I still win then.
Yeah, this is probably the one that I'm the least confident about because of what you just said. Arkansas can play anybody close, especially like I said, coach on the hot seat. So watch out for that one. Early upset alert tomorrow.
And they got their old coach back. Um, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank.
The offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's now he was the head coach. Then he got run off after his little scandal and stuff, and now he's back as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Bobby
Um,
Petrino, is
Petrino.
that right?
Yep.
So yeah, and I mean one thing he can do is run an offense, and it looked like they had some. I know they weren't playing top rated team or anything last week, but I think they scored like 60 or 70 points last week against whoever they were playing. So they worked out some kinks on the offensive side at least.
And no matter who you're playing, it's hard to score 70 points. So, um, all right. You want to take this one?
This
Let's
next
move.
one's probably going to be one of my uh, favorite games to watch this weekend. Um, South Carolina at Kentucky. And I'm taking Kentucky. They're favored by 9.5, so I'm going to give up almost two 10 points. But I think with Kentucky this year, they've got a pretty decent defense. They always play. All I can speak to really is the way they play against Georgia. And if they play that way against everybody else, I mean they give Georgia fits a lot of times because it's just a tough physical matchup. So if they're playing other teams that same way, and plus I think that bodes well for them. And because I don't think South Carolina honestly is really that good at all. Are going to be. I think they're going to have a really tough year this year. And the other thing that I'm banking on with Kentucky is they got the transfer quarterback from Georgia, Rob Vandegrift.
Mhm.
And in his first game, he looked the part. I hated to see him go. Can't really blame the kid though. He wants to play, and that's the only way he's going to move on to the fulfill his dreams. I'm sure he wants to play at the next level one day, so he's got to get playing time to do it. And he wasn't going to get it here sitting behind Carson Beck another year. So he's their starter, and he looked the part. He can run, he can throw, and he's a big old boy. Um, and he looked good doing both last weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. I'll lay the points too, because to me, I'm just what I look at when especially later in the season, but um, if you've got an established quarterback advantage in the game, you're gonna win
Who's the
most
better
of the time.
quarterback in this game?
It,
South
it's
Carolina's quarterback or Kentucky's?
it's definitely Kentucky.
That is no question. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest. South Carolina had a tough time beating Old Dominion last week.
That was my other
Old
point.
Dominion at home, at
They
home.
struggled at home in their home
So,
opener against a bad Old Dominion team. So,
and this week they got to go to Kentucky and play a tough road game against Kentucky. I just don't see it. So that's the reason why I took Kentucky. And as you guys can see, Matthew, he's taking the other side of this. He wants the points. He wants to take South Carolina. And just full disclosures, because one of his best friends in the world plays on South Carolina's team. That's the
yeah.
main reason, if you ask me, why he's taking South Carolina. Support his boy.
Shout
Um,
out to Demetrius Knight.
you know, I want him to play well. I hope he does well in the game. Um, it's a lot of fun watching a kid you coached grow up through middle high, stuff like that. And he's playing SEC football this year at South Carolina. So good luck to him. Stay healthy and ball out.
No, sorry we had all this negative to say about your team.
Who knows? They may surprise us.
Yeah, I mean, anybody on here can win tomorrow other than Tennessee Tech. So,
Yeah.
um, the next game would be Tennessee at NC State. And again, like Texas, Tennessee's getting they're favored by 7.5 on the road. So what is Vegas telling us there about NC State? But like Lee
SEC.
Corso's
SEC.
like
That's what
like
Vegas
Corso
is seeing.
like Corso on game day tomorrow. Not so fast, sweetheart. Give me NC State. I'll take the points at home.
Yeah, that one. I'm taking Tennessee and laying the points, and so is Matthew, as you can see on the chart here. Very impressed with Nico. The dude's going to be trouble for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
Um, you're really, really going to have a tough defense to go up against him and be successful. And gonna have to put him on his backside a few times during the game, get him thinking about the rush in order to be successful against them. I don't think NC State's going to be able to do that though. And if they can't, I can see Tennessee winning this by 2 touchdowns. So I just think they're just going to be way better. And the biggest part of that is Tennessee's improvement on the defensive side of the ball this year. I
that,
think that's
that
going to bear out over the course of the season that Tennessee's defense is going to be improved. Not only do you have to worry about their offense, but they may have the best pass rusher on the defensive side of the ball in the country this year. We'll see if that plays out that way.
that's a really good point, and that's what scares me about this one. This one and the Oklahoma State game to me. Me picking Oklahoma State and NC State rather. They it hinges on, the home team coming out fast and kind of getting the lead, um, and not giving it away. But I
And the
think
home crowd all riled up. I mean, up in Michigan, if Michigan jumps out to a 14-0 lead, what do you think that place is going to be like?
it's gonna be
They're
ruckus.
going to be going bonkers up there. Because they want to put it to Texas now that they're in the SEC, you know,
Yep.
and they want to hold that flag for the Big Ten, and plant that flag if they can get that W against the SEC team at home.
Yep. And just to feel disrespected by the spread. So I mean these home teams that, you know, are not favored should have a little fire under them tomorrow, I think. So, and last but not least, Auburn and Cal.
Cal
Um,
makes the trek across the country, comes to the plains of Auburn, and Auburn's favored by 13 and a half points.
as bad as
That
they
number,
were.
that number gives me a little bit of pause actually taking Auburn. But as you can see, we all did, which is kind of weird. Three Georgia guys talking on a Georgia podcast, and all three of us, the only game we agree on, we're agreeing on taking Auburn of all teams. Um, but I just don't think Cal's very good. I just don't. I guess I got to see more of it from them. Oh, no, Matthew just chimed in. I'm going to switch my pick to Cal for that last one. I'd say the slide's done and it's too late.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I I
Are
agree.
we gonna let him sneak in a last second switcheroo?
No,
I think
I think denied. That should be
yeah,
denied. Um,
I think it's
I
already done. If he was here live talking with us, we might get him some leniency, but if he's not even good enough to show up for the show and be here in person, you know, I'd
yeah.
say we I'd say the slide's done and that's what his pick is.
Well, not only is the slide done, but just to double down on that a little bit, I said in a text, I was like, those are good games. If y'all want to, if y'all are good with those, get me your picks by about this time tomorrow. That was yesterday at about 6:30 p.m. So, yeah, I think at the latest for Friday night picks, I need picks by 7 p.m. So, um, maybe if you were,
It's after 9 o'clock. And I think you missed the cutoff there.
maybe if he
And
was
I was just
live,
teasing you, Matthew. I don't know why you're not here, but just teasing. But yeah, you're stuck with Auburn like the rest of us right now.
yeah, I mean, I kind
I don't feel very good about the pick, to be honest with you. I'm with
of,
him. I don't feel very good about Auburn having to cover 2 touchdowns.
I don't either because on offense last year they looked as bad as anybody. So that suggests that 14, unless they're going to win 14 to nothing, which I don't think so, they've got to
The
put some
only
points
thing
on
that
the
gives
board.
me Yeah, the only reason that I really wanted to pick Auburn is because I know how tough that place is to play.
Yeah,
Because I've seen Georgia go in there, and I mean, even last year, we're the number one team in the nation, and Auburn's, you know, just crap. And we were lucky to get out of there with a win last year. I'll be honest, we were lucky that well, we had Superman on our team.
we did, but also we weren't as lucky as Alabama to get out of there with a win.
Oh, that's true. That's even more to that point, how tough it is to play there.
As mom would say,
They're
that's that Alabama voodoo. So just saying that end of that game still doesn't make any sense to me. That
Yeah,
game
how
should
in
have
the
been
world?
over.
How in the world? Anyway, another topic, another day. But that's the picks for this week. So we'll keep up with them. I guess Sunday evening about 8 p.m. We'll get back on here and we'll regurgitate what all happened over the game day tomorrow, and go over where everybody stands on our picks this week. So it should be fun. It should be a good thing to have to do and keep us going for the program for the show.
Yeah. And about Sunday. So yeah, we want to be back on the air Sunday at 8, like you just said. We're gonna do a recap of the weekend. Especially we'll go over these games to reveal, how we did picking these games, and then if there's anything else that, stands out from the weekend. And then new to our show also moving forward, we're going to on Sunday nights, we're going to do our top 12 rankings. So, um, that will be,
Just to be clear, are we going to try to pick the 12 that we think are going to make the playoff? Because that could be different than the actual top 12 ranked teams in the country, right? So which
Yeah,
way are we going to go with that? Are we just going to do it whoever we think the top 12 is in the country? Maybe closer to college football playoff time, we'll morph into
I think
doing
that
college football playoff rankings.
we could do it that way, or we could just do, at the end of week two, going into week three, these are our top 12 teams.
Yeah.
I guess we can
Just
discuss that.
overall. All right. Yeah, that'll be fun too. Another thing to keep up
Yeah,
with and see if we have any differences among our uh, thoughts on these teams going forward.
which I'm sure we will have a little bit of variation there. So, um, but it was fun tonight. I've enjoyed it. I've missed being away for the past several months. We've had, a lot change. I've had a job change. I've gotten an additional license for insurance personally, and you did as well. And just we had a lot going on, so I know I'm glad to be back doing it. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. And I think the way that we've set it up moving forward with this contest and um, with us ranking teams on Sundays, I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see how the season turns out. So, any last thoughts?
The only other thing I was going to say that one of the games that I was thinking about putting on here that I didn't, that I think is going to be a very interesting game is Colorado going into Nebraska and
Yes,
playing. That matchup is, you got some star power in that matchup when you're talking about Shedeur Sanders, Dion's son going up against our old buddy Dylan Rayola, who
that's
spurned
true.
us to join, who flip flopped on us and joined Nebraska. And but that first game he looked the part too. So that one's going to be quite interesting to watch tomorrow too. That's the only other one that I was considering putting on here. But other than it just being publicity or whatever, it didn't really have much effect on us in this corner of the it's not a SEC program or anything involved in it. So um, anyway, but yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm glad we're back doing this. We will get back on a routine and do it Sunday nights and Friday nights. Um, and we can always break in another day during the week or something too if something big happens and we feel like we need to get on here and have a conversation about it. But those are going to be our starting point, at least those 2 days. And we just look forward to having a good season. Look forward to having another fun one. It's going to be unique. It's going to be first time we've ever had a full 12 team playoff that teams are fighting for to get in. And then once we get to those games, I'm sure they're going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So this is going to be exciting. Again, thank y'all for if you watch this live or if you watch this in the future, we do appreciate it. Share it with five of your friends, like, subscribe, turn on notifications so that, if we do pop up and do a show on another day or at an earlier time, you're going to be in the loop to know that we're on. So thank y'all for the support so far, and everyone have a good night and enjoy football all day tomorrow. And as always, go dogs.